Welcome in. Good afternoon. It's Breakfast Ball alongside Craig Carton, Danny Parkins. I am Mark Schlereth, and we're going to get right into it. Okay, so let's start off. After an offseason of speculation surrounding their relationship, Jalen Hurts addressed whether there are any issues with head coach Nick Sirianni, and this is what he had to say. As we go into the season, Nick Sirianni and I have a great understanding. We have mutual respect for one another, and we're in a great space. I think it's an elephant in the room for everybody else, but it's not for me. So,
isn't
Craig,
marriage counseling great?
So, Craig, I'm just going to hit it right now. Yeah. You buying what he's saying?
No. Well, I think he told you the truth, but he didn't mean to tell you the truth. If I could go to the big board.
Oh, wow. Go.
Like, look, we all know that there were problems last year in that locker room. Well documented. Fletcher Cox spoke to it before he retired. So, guys, I'm not so much worried about this or this or this, or even them being in a great space. The thing that bothers me the most is this. I think it's an elephant in the room for everybody else. What? So basically what he's telling you is that it's a problem. Everybody in the Eagle locker room
You think he's addressing the locker room, or do you think he's addressing us in the media?
I think what he's telling everyone, Eagle fans, us, the locker room, is that, look, where there's smoke, there's fire. We acknowledge that everyone in the locker room knows that I don't get along with the coach. The coach doesn't get along with me. But, man, we've been working really hard at counseling, and our therapist is telling us that we're good. Damn what everybody else thinks. And, look, this happened last year. People try to figure out, why did the Eagles fall off the side of a cliff when they had a shot at the #1 seed?
Sure.
Part of it was a distrust between Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, and it embodied itself last year when they allowed the guys that cover the Eagles to come into practice with cameras and watch them make Jalen Hurts practice falling down without a bit humbling.
Yeah, it was a weird end, and we can get to that. So you're saying he doesn't see elephants? He's like, there's an elephant in the room. I don't see elephants.
It's the fans. It's everybody in the locker room. It's the media. That's a big room, Danny. It's a huge room.
Whenever you're, having to state, like, our relationship's in a really good place, like, probably not a great sign. But I do think, like, this type of thing, since we're not in the locker room, it's possible that it's a media creation and that we're taking like random data points and trying to construct a story. But we all watched the Eagles finish the season last year.
Right.
Like, on the field, it wasn't just not up to their standards. It was, hey, they looked like the worst team in the NFL and they weren't able to play football anymore. That's not a small sample from last year, and it was directly impacted. Look at that. Jalen Hurts. Terrible.
And by the way, Danny, to jump on that stat right there, inside that 1-6 finish was a loss to the New York Giants, who are a bad football team, and a loss, I know you kind of like them, to Drew Lock in Seattle on that 80-yard play late. And
a blowout in the playoff game.
And the Arizona Cardinals beat him also.
Right. Yeah. And so Kyler was back then at least, but still terrible. And so they were so good for so long, and then they were so bad for a real stretch, and they fired some coordinators. It's like, I want to think that the previous 2.5 years outweighs the last 7 games, but that is the most recent thing that we've seen from Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni.
Well, the fact that Jalen Hurts is actually addressing this, now we're in a great space, would indicate that at some point they weren't in a great space.
Absolutely.
Isn't that 100% true? And you think about where they were. I mean, think about Nick Sirianni when he took over this organization. He was the play caller.
Yeah.
It was such a disaster early for Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles that they turned to Shane Steichen to take over the play calling. Then under Shane Steichen as the offensive coordinator, boom, to the Super Bowl, right? They lost to Kansas City, and then Brian Johnson takes over, and we're right back after 10 games. We're kind of right back into that mess that was the play calling issues with Nick Sirianni and the rest of the organization.
If you guys could put the quote up again, if you don't mind. Look, he's telling you what's going on. He doesn't mean to be telling you, because he wants everybody to think that we're good. It's kumbaya. Let's all hold hands and celebrate being on the same team. But when he says at the end there, and I don't like to pick words out, but he's telling you what's going on.
You don't like to do it, but you're going to do it.
I'm going to do it.
Right, okay. Right. Like, I mean, it's not my thing,
We're really
but while we're here.
to do this right here.
I don't want to be me, but I'm going to be. when he acknowledges there 6 months after they've last played a game that it's an elephant in the room for everybody. He's not saying it's a media-created story. He's not saying the fans are out of whack. Yeah. He's saying, yeah, everybody thinks this is a problem.
Right. Well, but he's also saying, and we had, essentially, you read that, we had a clear-the-air meeting.
Absolutely.
We had a clear-the-air meeting.
Absolutely.
Nick and I sat down and had a clear-the-air meeting, and we've kind of rekindled our relationship, if you will, and we're going down a new road.
We talked about it a lot. Obviously, I used to work in Philly. I know a lot of people that cover the Eagles and are in that locker room. There were legitimate problems, and not just between Nick Sirianni, of course, and him, amongst some of the players. Fletcher Cox spoke to it. Jason Kelsey spoke to it. Hassan Reddick has spoken to it.
Right.
There were issues there.
Well, and I mean, speaking of working in Philly, we know about the sports culture in that town. It's probably the toughest sports town in America. And Stink, you talk about like cultures and organizations.
Right.
If this was the Pittsburgh Steelers, who never fire a coach, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Right.
Because we'd be like, oh, well, okay, they hit a bump in the road, but we know that they see the long view of it. This is the organization that fired Doug Peterson.
Right.
He won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. And they're like, okay, gone. So it's like very clearly they have a shorter leash there. So it's not like we're making it up that something could be bad for Sirianni.
I think it was 50-50 that Sirianni even came back this year.
Right.
I think
so this is not
they
a
went
media
to the
creation.
Super Bowl, and because you got to give a coach a little latitude, he gets this year. But don't get it twisted. In Philadelphia, if things go south, I don't think they will. More on that later in the show.
Right.
He ain't coming back next year.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I can tell you this: no one else is hiring him to be a head coach.
Yeah, you'll have to go back through the kind of the ranks and prove that you can be a play caller. That's probably what's going to have to happen. Hey, let's stay in the NFC East. CeeDee Lamb practiced Tuesday after signing his new deal, and then he spoke about Dak Prescott's contract situation. Listen to what he had to say.
It's amazing, bro. If you go look at our numbers together, they're at the top of the charts. And I have no doubt that they're going to get a deal done. And we all know that I want Dak here. Jerry wants Dak here, too. So let's just get this under control, kill the speculations.
Well, that was CD yesterday, so this is what Jerry had to say today. We don't need to get this done before the season. And as a matter of fact, it's probably not realistic to think before the season. But my thoughts sitting right here, is we'll have Dak as a Cowboy in 2025 and beyond. But all I'm going to say is this. It's not done yet. So, Danny, how do you expect Dak's contract to go?
Not well.
Well, okay.
Apparently it's not getting done anytime soon, but go ahead. What do you think?
Well, to answer that question specifically, it will go however Dak Prescott wants it to go. Like, it cannot be overstated. He has a no-tag clause and a no-trade clause. Yeah. So if Jerry says we're not getting this done anytime soon and it's not going to get done in season, that means the season will end and then Dak Prescott can just wait. And he can wait for Seattle to call, or for Vegas to call, or for the Giants to call, to really stick it to the Cowboys. So, like, Dak Prescott can do whatever he wants, and that's Jerry Jones's doing.
It really comes down to this. Does Dak want to be a Cowboy?
Well, now it comes down to that. He's got all the power, all the control. Now, look, they dangle the money. So you dangle enough money, all of a sudden things change. Oh, I'll take that kind of money, right? But right now, Dak Prescott's in total control. And it's almost like Jerry Jones is in his first year. It's like Matt Ishby in the NBA. All right, that didn't go great. Let me try again next year, right? I just have no experience doing this. But he's only been an owner for 40 years and just lived through the PR nightmare of not signing CeeDee Lamb. And now Dallas Cowboy fans, I know they're split because of his failures in the playoffs, but Cowboy fans are saying, stop talking. Write checks. Stop talking. But to me, when we see that quote, and it's comical at best, right?
Yeah.
That's not even the craziest thing that Jerry Jones said.
Oh, please do tell.
It was a hell of an interview.
The crazier thing, as the general manager, who, remember, his words, not mine, I'm the best bleeping general manager in football, came out and said that, I'm going to on your screen, this is the worst team Dak Prescott has ever had to play quarterback for since he became our starting quarterback. He's going to have to do a lot more than what he's done. Fingers crossed, we can win a couple games in January.
So this is the same guy that just a day or two ago said, wow, I can't wait to see all this young talent perform. Like, we got a ton of young talent.
Yeah, it's an odd thing for a general manager to brag that the quarterback is going to have to do more with less when you're the guy who's supposed to give him more.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very, very odd thing to say.
Can you put it up one more time? There's a key word in there I think we have to take a look at in there, and it's this. He's going to have to do it not just this year, but also Cowboy fans in the future with less of a supporting cast.
But again, here's what goes on. You're the owner, I understand that, but you're also the general manager.
Yeah.
So what you have to do an exceptional job of as a general manager is managing your team's contract situation. Right. So what you have to do is you have to pick your core players, and there may be 6, 7, 8 of those guys, and say, hey, man, we're going to free up money so we can sign free agents, so we can do the things that we need to do. We're going to draft exceptionally well, and here's the plan going forward. The problem with the Cowboys and Jerry Jones is it never seems to be that they have a plan on what they're going to do going forward. Right. And that's why year after year after year, I mean, what's the meme that goes around there? J-Lo has more rings than the Cowboys have rings, right? Shout out J-Lo, since their last Super Bowl. She's got 6, they got 0. So, I mean, come on.
Yeah, and I do think this all ends with Dak Prescott being the highest paid quarterback in NFL history in terms of dollars per year. I do think that's how this ends. Because
Where? In Dallas?
Yeah, in Dallas. Okay. I assume because they have no succession plan. They don't have multiple first-round picks. They don't have a great young backup. They're going to be too good this year.
You haven't watched Cooper Rush play?
I understand. And so my guess is what he's alluding to there is like, yeah, I'm going to pay Dak, and it's going to cost a lot. Yeah, I'm going to pay Micah, and it's going to cost a lot.
Good news, Danny.
Yeah.
Good news. If you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, Jerry Jones is trying to make that roster better. You may have missed it. The Dallas Cowboys have signed.
Oh, yeah.
Dalvin Cook.
All right. Boom.
Yeah. That's cheap talent.
By the way,
young talent.
By the way, I mentioned Cooper Rush. That was dismissive.
He just
completely dismissed
Cooper Rush looked better than Dak Prescott in 4 games.
Right. Just a little bit. Hey, the hype around Caleb Williams has been unbelievable. But what would constitute a success this season for the rookie quarterback? We'll explore next.
The NFL is back on.
Jersey Mike's freshly slices it right in front of you. You can't fake that. You can fake my outfit. You can fake these haunches. You just can't fake a freshly sliced Jersey sub. Made the authentic Jersey way since 1956. It's a Jersey Mike's thing.
It really means a lot to me to lead by example. As a coach, I want to show my players that you can be a pro outside of sports, in your job, as a husband, and as a father. Working with Thrivent has really given me financial confidence to be a positive role model for my players. It's opened my eyes to different financial opportunities and the way that I can make an impact on and off the field.
There's the know-it-all, a raging river of football expertise.
Jordan Love is definitely winning MVP this year.
You have the confidence of a prime Terrell Owens, but only a fool wouldn't at least consider someone like Joe Cool Burrow. Are you a fool, Mr. Harrison?
Unbelievable. With NFL Plus Premium, you too can be a football know-it-all.
Yo, can I kick it? Yes, you can. Can I kick it? Yes, you can.
Can I kick it?
¿Qué?
Can I play?
Can I kick it? Can I kick it?
Can I try?
당연하지.
Can I kick it? Yes, you can. Can I kick it? Yes, you can.
Hey, college football's back this week. Big noon Saturday kicks off a huge season opener between 8th-ranked Penn State and West Virginia, with the big new kickoff crew coming to you live from Morgantown. Don't miss the most watched game window in college football beginning Saturday on Fox. Hey, welcome back to the show. Try the new Subway wraps today. All right, there's a ton of hype around rookie quarterback Caleb Williams. It's absolutely insane heading into the season. An anonymous NFC South player had a strong take on how good Caleb must be his rookie season. Here's what he said. You realize you've got all that pressure, and he put that pressure on himself. If he doesn't come out here like Patrick Mahomes level, then he's a bust in everybody's eyes. First off, let me just say this really quick before I go to you, Danny. Let me just say this, okay? The show's called Breakfast Balls. Or Breakfast Ball.
I think it's Breakfast Ball. I think it's
yeah,
singular.
Breakfast Ball.
I mean,
but I'm going. Hey, I tell you what. How about drop a set and put your? All right, just a little suggestion, right?
Sure.
Instead of going in on, just drop them and go. All right, Danny, what do you think the success has to be for Caleb Williams?
Well, listen, I mean, Mahomes' level is ridiculous. The goal eventually is to play like the MVP of the league and one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But Mahomes' first year as a starter is one of the 3 best statistical seasons ever. Like he was a 5,000-yard passer, a 50-touchdown guy, an MVP.
Wasn't a rookie; it was his second year.
I know, but he's saying he's got to play like Mahomes right away. That's not happening. But it is getting easier to be good as a rookie quarterback because of how the offense is more like the college game and they're tailoring it around. And if you just look to C.J. Stroud last year, that's the benchmark for Caleb Williams. I'm not saying if he comes a little less in the yards or has a few more interceptions or marginal differences, but C.J. Stroud, it's not the best rookie season ever, but it's a very good season, and he won a playoff game. The Bears haven't won a playoff game since 2010. So if that season that C.J. Stroud had last year, 4,100 yards and change, the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer. So if he's just in the vicinity of C.J. Stroud's year with any of those benchmarks, it'll be one of the best seasons in Bears history. So that's the standard that I'm holding him to this year.
It's stupid. So you're going to tell me 1 out of 212 potential players in the NFC South was asked a specific question about the pressure on Caleb Williams. Well, let's find out where the USC players are in the pros right now. We can probably find out who that guy was. But you're right. Like, you don't judge anyone in year 1 against a guy that's going to go down as maybe the second, maybe the first greatest quarterback of all time. It's
crazy.
Stupid. And your point's also a good one. You want to compare rookie seasons? By default, Caleb's is going to be better because Mahomes didn't play, right? So that's not a fair comparison. And then you're right because we're going to judge him based on one of 2 very distinct things. Either his numbers, like C.J. Stroud, are going to be off the charts astronomical, doing things no Bears quarterback has ever done before, but for sure other quarterbacks have done. Big numbers, big stats, lots of touchdowns, not a lot of picks. Or the Bears are going to be over 500 and be alive for a wild card spot, if not the division, let's say, come Thanksgiving. So his success can be defined beyond just personal stats, but by team success as well.
Yeah, you know, I think one of the things that's really interesting for me is I get asked this question all the time. I do a radio show in Denver. My host is Mike Evans, and he always goes, give me the stat line that's going to make him successful. And I'm like, shut up. I don't care about the stat line. I want to see it with my eyeballs. I want to see what kind of player he is. I want to see what kind of plays he makes under duress. I want to see him operate offense. I want to see him get in and out of the huddle. I want to see him in critical moments make critical plays. And I will tell you this, like I did probably 3 or 4 Houston games last year. And C.J. Stroud, like from a pure talent standpoint, Caleb Williams is, off the charts talented, right?
Yes.
But when it comes to directing an offense,
different,
having an ability to lead your football team, having that gravitas when you walk into the room or you walk into the huddle, I'm telling you what, C.J. Stroud was off the charts when it came to that stuff. So as a player, you'll look at extreme talent. Well, if your talent doesn't match the way you lead and the way you play, then we just look at it in the locker room, we just go, man, that's wasted talent.
Sure.
So he's going to have to do more than just put up numbers, is my point.
I think there's also a part of it where, when you're a young quarterback, a rookie quarterback, and you go into a situation, who else is in the huddle? Like, quite famously, Eli Manning did not have a relationship with Jeremy Shockey when Eli was a rookie, and it was a real problem. C.J. Stroud went to a situation where he told him to draft Tank Dell. He had young, inexperienced wide receivers. So in reality, they're all kind of doing it for the first time together. So I don't think the comparison should be made to Patrick Mahomes. We all agree that's stupid. But I tell you who you don't want him to have a rookie season like. And if I may, if I may.
What is happening?
It's this little guy.
Oh,
all right.
He'll be better than that.
Life size. We spare no expense here at Fox. Bryce Young. So to me, that's the low end of the
better
bar.
than that.
Sure.
Just be better than this guy.
The low end, and no pun intended, that's the low end, right?
Exactly right.
Low end, right?
Exactly right. That's all you got to do.
There is no doubt in my mind that Caleb Williams will be better than that guy, and the new Herschel Walker trade will be the Caleb Williams Bryce Young trade.
All right, go back to bed now.
Night. But no, I do think in terms of like comparing that situation, like let's just go back a year. You were doing this show. You were analyzing the NFL. I'm analyzing the NFL. When C.J. Stroud was drafted to Houston, we were like, I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know about Bobby Slowick or Nico Collins or Tank Dell.
Right.
Like, we were not saying that's a great situation to walk into, but we all agree, I think to maybe varying degrees, but we all agree, this is an awesome situation that Caleb is walking into. So holding him to the standard of, hey, man, it's a better situation than C.J. Stroud was in. Go do something similar to that.
The key number to me is 5, though. Because if we're going to talk C.J. Stroud now, the new standard bearer for what rookie quarterbacks can do statistically, right? The number's 5. And that's interceptions. Because that is stupid.
But I will tell you, coming in there, though, at the beginning of training camp, at the beginning of OTAs and all that stuff, there were like concerns about C.J. Stroud.
I'm sure.
He did not have a good preseason.
No, and he just went. And again, it comes down to the leadership, the way he interacted with players, the way he interacted with his head coach. I mean, I can tell you story after story about kind of how legendary the process was for C.J. Stroud. And he has got
process of what?
Just the process of becoming a quarterback.
The development?
Right, yeah, the development, how quick it was. But just like, for instance, in practice, he would frustrate DeMeco Ryans at times. Because he would say, hey, listen, we ran a play right, and I didn't like the way the receiver ran the route, or I didn't like the way I read the route out, or whatever. And DeMeco's like, hey, next play. And he's going, no. We're going to repeat it. And I want all the same guys on the football field. So I don't care, Robert Woods, if you just ran a 40-yard go. Come back, get back in the huddle.
Yeah.
We're going to do it again until it's perfect. And I will tell you this, traveling around the NFL on a weekly basis, going into facility after facility, there are some Friday practices where guys are slapping around. I mean, a bunch of slappies. And you're looking at them like there's a reason that they're not good. You walk into Houston, man, you talk about buttoned up, you talk about competition, you talk about guys playing hard, and that's a reflection on DeMeco Ryans and C.J. Stroud. They run that show.
Well, you know what happens now, though? Now you got a target on your butt.
But hey, listen, man,
Now
to
you
your
gotta
point,
win.
by the way, Craig, to your point of who's in that huddle, Keenan Allen is a professional freaking football player.
Oh, yeah.
He's a tone setter. DJ Moore is a professional freaking football player.
Sure.
Like, they have got some guys in Chicago right now that I've helped lead.
Both of those guys rave about Caleb and the leadership and how he started, by the way.
And then there's a guy named Stephon Diggs who's in that huddle as well.
In Houston,
and
yeah.
let's just close our eyes and say a prayer if we're Bears fans, shall we?
Yeah.
Please don't mess it up. Please
All right,
don't.
here's what we got coming up. 100 players were asked the question, guys, who's the most overrated player or overrated QB in the NFL? We'll tell you what the survey said next.
Jersey Mike's freshly slices it right in front of you. You can't fake that. You can fake my outfit. You can fake these haunches. You just can't fake a freshly sliced Jersey sub. Made the authentic Jersey way since 1956. It's a Jersey Mike's thing.
Oh my God. What? The host is coming back.
Meanwhile, at a Verbo.
Oh my God. What? I got 1 key cash in this house.
When other vacation rentals throw curveballs, try one that gives rewards.
You don't need the same Duracell batteries that help power Williams Racing. Until you do. Duracell is a proud partner of Williams Racing.
You've got your Sunday obsession, and we got you. Now with Verizon, get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV on us and get every out-of-market Sunday game. Plus $800 off Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6. Only on Verizon.
See you Sunday.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Now, yesterday, Danny planted his flag on Josh Allen as the second scariest quarterback in the National Football League. Now, player survey came out revealing that Allen was voted the most overrated quarterback in the league. So, Danny, would you like to change your opinion on Josh Allen?
No, I would not. I would like a Josh Allen flag of some sort so that I can plant.
Where do you want to plant it?
Yeah, I don't know, right here off the side, maybe.
So don't go Baker Mayfield and plant it in turf field, okay?
Exactly.
Plant it somewhere where it'll go in.
Right at midfield of Jet Stadium. But I got to say, I think I just know more than these players do.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, you got to play the game. If you have thoughts like that, because it is quite literally impossible to overrate Josh Allen unless you are saying he's better than Patrick Mahomes. Because I showed you this yesterday, and I'll double down on it. It could not be more clear who the second best player in football has been over the last 4 years. Because as far as I'm concerned, what matters is scoring touchdowns. And no one in the NFL has generated more touchdowns than Josh Allen the last 4 years. And he's second in yards, and he's second in wins. And he has gone toe-to-toe. And by the way, where's his Hall of Fame coach? Where's his Hall of Fame offensive teammate? Where's the first-round pick?
Well, they sent him to Houston, I think, right?
Stephon Diggs ain't going to the Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay.
And where's the Offensive Rookie of the Year? Where are the great draft picks that the Buffalo Bills made? Josh Allen has gone toe-to-toe with Mahomes statistically in the regular season and in terms of winning football games without nearly the supporting cast. So the idea that he is an overrated football player on a list with guys like Jalen Hurts or Tua, who have accomplished nowhere near what Josh Allen has done over that 4-year sample size, it's crazy.
Yeah, look, it's again, like we said earlier in the show, you can't compare anybody to Mahomes, so stop it.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with the other quarterbacks. Look, I'm with you. He's a bit of an enigma because of the turnovers, right? But if you said to me right now, Josh Allen is an unrestricted free agent. Let's play that game for a second, right?
Yeah.
How many teams would be in line right now to say $60 million a year, 10-year deal, all guaranteed?
Yeah.
In my head, easily 27, 28.
Exactly. I mean,
Right?
maybe some team with a quarterback on a rookie deal says, I'd rather have a guy for cheap for a few years.
Now,
but yeah, I mean, I think 30 teams.
The other part of it with Josh Allen, it's a baseball comparison, but follow me for a second. It's a little bit of that Derek Jeter syndrome, outside of course, winning championships, where when baseball did these anonymous polls, the most overrated player in all of baseball was always, every single year, Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
The most underrated player was always, every single year, Derek Jeter. The guy you wound up with 2 outs and a man on third was Derek Jeter, right?
Yeah.
So I looked a little bit more into the poll, and yes, he was voted amongst the guys as the most overrated. He was also voted the 4th best quarterback in football. So you can't have it both ways. And as a guy that roots for the New York Jets, I thought that we were going to have a chance when Tom Brady finally left the division. Right. Now maybe it's wide open. And the reality is that it never was, because Josh Allen started to creep up on Brady from the standpoint of the Bills being a winning team and a team that has a chance to win divisions, and then they did.
4 straight division titles.
Exactly. So
5 straight double-digit win
we
seasons.
can nitpick anyone's game. Clearly, red zone interceptions and turnovers are a problem. He's got more turnovers than any other quarterback in the last 3 or 4 years. But as a guy that's never had a quarterback, I mean, what are we complaining about this guy?
I would say, Josh Allen is a bit like you, Carton. It's like a fungus.
Handsome.
No, he's like a fungus. He's like a fungus.
A fungus.
Yeah, a fungus. Like, he grows on you, right? I think one of the like a good fungus.
Penicillin.
Yeah, but it's a good fungus. It's like he talks so much smack.
Yeah.
Josh Allen talks so much smack that I guarantee you he's hurt the little feelings,
I'm sure,
of a lot of players, especially the players in his division. They got this survey, and they were like, he said this to me, or he said that to me. And, he's jumping over people, and he's going airborne, and he's doing all that go gadget arm, and I mean, they can't stand that about
Well, it's so funny you say that. I don't know if you looked into it too, like Carton did.
Yeah.
He actually was voted the biggest trash talker in the NFL.
Yes, exactly.
So it's like.
But let me tell you how
he's
these
really damn good, and he tells you he's good.
I'm going to tell you how these polls work in an NFL locker room. First off, if you give us a poll and I'm a starter,
what do?
I send it to the guys on the practice squad. I go, fill that poll out for me, will you? Because I'm not going to do anything, right? So that's what they do. And then ultimately, guys don't take it seriously. The guys in the locker room, when the polls come out, they don't give a rip. They could care or they could care less.
Many, many years ago, I covered the Cleveland Browns. All right, and I'll never forget, I'm in the Cleveland, it's Belichick's head coach. He benches Bernie Kosar. Todd Philcox becomes the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. And I'm in the locker room right around Pro Bowl time.
Right.
Now, you live this, so you can speak to it better than I can. But they all have a piece of paper on their bench, their seat.
Right.
And it went like this. Hey, fellas, who we voting for left tackle?
Right.
And they kind of got together. Hey, I went to college with that guy.
Yeah.
Vote for my guy. I'll vote for your guy.
Right.
See,
Right?
I was always the guy that took it very seriously because I wanted the guys who were the best players in the league to be rewarded because I thought it was great. You know, I thought that's the way it should be. There should be some honor in it.
Rule follower.
But I seriously have seen guys go, well, we want our guy.
Sure.
Like, for instance, corners. We want our corner to go to the Pro Bowl. He deserves to go. So let's not vote for the best corners. Let's vote for some scrub that nobody's going to vote for to take a vote away from the best corner and hope our guy gets in there.
If they were doing it to support a teammate's attempt to get there, but you still frowned upon that?
Absolutely, because if my guy didn't deserve to go, if somebody was better, I'm voting for the guys who are the best players.
He's the guy that brought the apple to the teacher.
Made for the media, though. I respect it.
Yeah, that's true.
I respect it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. I mean, the NFL Top 100 list, the players do a terrible job of ranking the players. You know what I mean? These guys, they really do not take it seriously. So
I don't think we do it all that better, to be honest.
I do.
Right.
My lists are infallible. Infallible.
All right.
Hey, you're the outlier.
Listen.
What
there it is. I'm exhausted from all this hosting. Take it away, Greg.
All right, you got it. It is Wednesday. It's time for those something we like to call.
What the Wednesday?
All right, let's go to San Francisco where the 49ers think they might win a Super Bowl this year. But big news last night that San Francisco 49ers owners have announced that they are spending $200 million on, among other things, faster Wi-Fi in the building.
Yeah.
They also want to get the Olympic Games there and some World Cup soccer games there. But just think about this for a minute. You're a San Francisco 49er fan. You know the window's closing for your attempt to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, and your owner says, well, we're not giving Brandon Ayuk another nickel. And, oh, by the way, the best left tackle in football wants a couple extra dollars. So we're not going to give him that money. Well, why can't you pay the man Jed? Because faster Wi-Fi is more important.
Well, this is what I would say. Does the fan know the difference between the internet speed and if you spend $50 million upgrading or 200? Like, how about we spend $50 million and spend 150 on your players? How about that?
Something.
I think the Wi-Fi password might be salary cap. might be two different pots of gold.
Anyhow, yo, San Francisco.
What the?
All right, the second one for you. I'm a diehard Jet fan. As you know, Hassan Reddick, who we traded with the Eagles, they got, Huff. We wound up getting Hassan Reddick. He has not showed up for a single practice since he became a New York Jet. But yesterday, for the fourth time this offseason, him and his agent put out this dopey video of him pretending like he's staying in shape and working out. Of course,
he looks kind of slow.
Of course, Danny and Mark, had he agreed to do these exact workouts in Florham Park, New Jersey, he wouldn't have been fined $4.7 million to date, and the number is growing. If you can do it at home, you can do it in New Jersey.
Craig, I will tell you, this is probably one of my biggest pet peeves. When players release look at me working out videos.
Right, I can't.
Rise and grind season.
Right. Right, exactly. Who cares, dude? You're not in camp. Right. I don't care that you're in shorts and a T-shirt, right? I just don't. You're doing burpees and jumping over boxes. I want you in camp playing football because you know what this is? It's camp. And you know what it's time to do? Play football. The regular season starts next week. They're facing San Francisco. It is time.
Oh, Hassan Reddick.
What?
There you go. Thank
Okay.
you very much. They were questioning that one, I think. Quick NBA story for you, just to keep everybody honest here. LeBron James actually came across like a normal human being yesterday when interviewed about the prospects of playing with his son Bronny this year. Listen to what LeBron said. Bronny cannot and can't call him if they do get to play together. Go ahead.
Cannot call me dad in the workplace. All right. Once we leave out of the private facility and the gates close, I could be dad again. In the car, if we ride together. At home, I could be dad. No, he got to call me like 2-3 or Brian. Okay. Or, you know, GOAT if he wants to. That's up to him. I mean, it's up to him.
Come on. Who would do that? Like,
Now,
who would ask his son
I'm
to
not
call
a LeBron. I'm not a LeBron guy, quite famously, but he showed like a human side to himself there. That's
like,
fun.
well,
little
there
banter
was
back and
until he
forth.
said you can call me
Yeah,
GOAT.
but my problem with it is that LeBron, if you're going to steal things from Stink over here, just acknowledge you got the idea from him. There's a text message I got from Mark yesterday. Yeah, you could call me Stink. Well, you can see it, but don't call me Daddy. And just out of curiosity, do you want to double down on that or no?
Yeah, well, I forgot that I had sent that text. So I take that back. Bronny should call him GOAT. I think that's perfectly
to Mark
fine.
Schlereth and LeBron James, who want to be called GOAT, I say.
What the?
And I know we got to get out of here, so let me squeeze one quick one in here. My new partners, Mark Schlereth, of course, and Danny Parkins, have been in New York City now for 3 days. 3 days. And a couple days ago, they're like, you know what? Let's go to a Yankee game. But not just sit in any seats. Let's sit front row during Old Timers Day, one of the toughest tickets for the Yankees all year.
That's right.
And I'm like, all right, maybe Fox had some connections. We broadcast Major League Baseball games.
Yeah.
And then last night, Parkins was at it again, sitting front row at the U.S. Open, drinking a honey deuce.
3 honey deuces. They were delicious. They were delicious. Hey, I'm taking advantage of breakfast ball starting at noon. I'm having some cocktails on a Tuesday. My wife and kids are back in Chicago. I'm living my best life in New York.
So
I agree.
3 days, front row Yankee Stadium, essentially front row courtside at the U.S. Open. A very tough ticket.
Yeah, and Monday I was at the Comedy Cellar. Saw Colin Quinn right up by the stage.
All right.
I'm having a great time.
Hey, so give it
Hold
up.
on,
Hey.
I gotta say this.
Okay.
Mark Schlereth and Danny Parkins.
What the?
Thank you. Now,
Well, I would tell you this, Danny. Soak it up, buddy, because Mama Bear is coming home soon.
Yeah, I know.
All right, C.J. Stroud in his second year after an unbelievable rookie season. Should the Texans be considered a Super Bowl favorite? We discuss next.
My moderate to severe Crohn's symptom.
What if finding a new job wasn't such a leap of faith?
I don't think I'm right for this. I said I don't think I'm right for the job.
You're perfect for it! What if you knew you'd be paid fairly? Check this out. Because you could literally see what the job pays. What if your schedule worked for you, and her, and them? And what if the promise of better work
No way!
was something that found us?
I got the interview.
This is a commercial for a Little Caesars large pepperoni thin crust pizza for $7.99.
Oh, a thin crust commercial.
Bingo! Those toppings go right to the edge.
Take me to the edge.
Listen to that crunch and check out that cheesy, crispy crust.
All for $7.99?
Exactamundo. $7.99 for the pizza that everyone wants to get their hands or claws on.
Sorry, claws?
Walk in and walk out with a large, hot and ready thin crust for $7.99 at Little Caesars.
Pizza, pizza.
Operation Wonder Park is a go!
There's nothing more powerful than imagination.
Honey, have you seen my cell phone?
But don't just imagine.
My park came to life?
Ooh, a plot twist.
Use STEM to build, create,
She did it.
and change the world.
Who's with me?
I'm more of a 2 feet on the ground kind of guy.
It's gonna hurt tomorrow.
If she can STEM, so can you. Find out more at She Can STEM.
Moving into the new place felt like throwing a party, except we forgot to invite the furniture. As friends and family kept showing up, our living room looked like a social experiment, where standing became the new sitting, and cocktail hour couldn't come quick enough. Yeah, Tasker for that. TaskRabbit. Book a Tasker.
Hey, welcome back into Breakfast Ball. Now, the Texans came out of nowhere last year to win the AFC South and win a playoff game. They're currently 4th in odds to win the AFC and reach the Super Bowl. And I'll tell you what, this team is stacked. They are young and they are hungry. So you look at the odds right now. Obviously, Kansas City, boo, they're first. Then the Ravens, then the Bengals, then the Texans at 4th. And your Jets, Greg, coming in 5th.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
No, I was saying how stacked this team is. Nico Collins was unbelievable last year. They got Diggs. Dell is an incredible wide receiver. Joe Mixon solidifies that running game. Anderson at the one defensive end, and then Daniil Hunter. I mean, this is a big-time list of players. So, Craig, are the Texans legit Super Bowl contenders?
Yeah, I mean, they're in the conversation. I'd be silly to say that they're not, but I think we
Are you mad that they're ahead of the Jets?
I don't get mad at that stuff. It's stupid that they're ahead of the Jets. Obviously, the Jets are the best roster in all of football right now.
Second
so
best.
So the fact that the
third.
Jets is, look, I'm glad the Jets are starting to get some respect. At least they're in the top 5 now to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl and this stuff. Because I could easily sit here and say, you did it once. Like, you got to do it again for me to start believing in you and having faith in you. And, oh, by the way.
Wait.
Yeah.
They did it once.
They did it once.
So you got to do it twice. So you can't have faith in Jets for at least another 2 or 3 years, right?
We'll get to that in a second, my
Okay,
friend.
all right.
Don't worry about that. Plenty of time for me to talk about the New York Jets and stole their virtues. But I think sometimes we get carried away. And I think as good as I think we all agree the Texans are going to be, we're getting a little carried away if we're anointing them the team most likely to upstage and upseat, the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, they didn't win 13 games last year, 14 games. They didn't win 11 games last year. They won 10 in a bad division. They won 10 games. And that's with a quarterback who only threw 5 interceptions. He's going to throw double that this year. All right? Let's see what happens when C.J. Stroud isn't throwing for essentially 30 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. Let's see what happens when people wake up in America and realize the Tennessee Titans are going to be a good football team. Let's see what happens then.
I'm with you completely on this, and because it could work. It's a very good roster, and you build around a rookie quarterback because he showed so much promise, and you bring in Diggs and you bring in Hunter, and it's a very talented roster. But I do think we need to pump the brakes on C.J. Stroud just a bit. It was very, very impressive, but it was not unprecedented. Like, if you look at his season right over there on the left side of your screen, we all agree that's a great year. We all would agree, I think, the guy on the right side of the screen, a rookie season, a very similar and very impressive rookie year.
Zach Wilson.
I don't think it was Zach Wilson. But look, same number of interceptions. Best interception percentage in the NFL. Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm sure the person on the right was destined for a decade of greatness. Who was it?
Want to take a guess?
No, I don't.
We're getting
RG3.
Yeah.
It was the best season of his career.
Yeah.
It was the best season of his career. Not exactly destined for greatness. So do it again.
Right.
Show me that you can do it again.
To be fair, he tore his ACL. You know, they went through a different offensive change and all those different things. But
there's no guarantee is the point.
There is no guarantee. I will say this. Last year, the Texans were probably a bottom third run team. And they were mixed between a zone team and basically a gap team because they had 2 running backs. And what was it? It's Singletary at one and Pierce at the other. Is that the 2 running backs?
Damon Pierce,
yeah. But they had 2 running backs. One was good at the gap scheme. One was good at the zone scheme. So it was an automatic tell for the offense.
Sure.
So now all of a sudden Joe Mixon comes in. You solidify what you're going to do, the way you're going to run the ball. You set up and marry your play action directly to that. I think that C.J. Stroud could be in for another big year.
Yeah, look, I think he's going to be really good. No one's suggesting he's going to forget how to play football.
Okay.
And another year under, you mature, you get better, more experience. The game should be easier for him. But to be fair to Vegas, or whoever put out these numbers, that we're showing everybody, if you want to put them up one more time, to be fair, it's not as if the Texans are right behind Kansas City, where Kansas City's plus 350 and Houston's plus 400, and they're 2 obvious favorites, to go. They're in Jet territory, right? Yeah. Like, to me,
Bengals, Texans, Jets are virtually the same.
And the only thing I don't love about this is the fact that this means that either the Ravens or the Bengals, as a wild card team, is most likely to go to the Super Bowl. And I just don't think that's happening.
Right, I mean, that's part of the odds in terms of how tough it is to get there, and then you'd be playing a road playoff game and the entire thing. And so, again, to be very clear, C.J. Stroud had an excellent rookie season. It's just not a historic rookie season. Like, he's not the best to have ever done it. And so let's see if he can build on it.
Yeah, well, the one thing that's interesting there is most people predicting what kind of season they'd have going into last year thought they'd win 4 or 5 games.
He exceeded expectations.
It's going to be harder this year than it was last year.
Absolutely.
Because the division's actually getting better. They're a big part of that, obviously. The division's getting better.
Yeah.
And now we've got film. Like you play.
Yeah.
I got film on them now. I know what they like to do now.
Sure.
So I have a better shot of defending against what I know they like to do.
All right, speaking of C.J. Stroud, you came up with a quarterback list. We'll see if C.J.'s on it.
Well, so I just wanted to kind of double down on this idea of C.J. Stroud and us needing to take a little bit more time on it. And so, okay, they're a Super Bowl contender, 4th best odds in the AFC. Do they have a top 5 quarterback in the AFC? So I ranked the top 5 quarterbacks in the AFC, and we'll see if C.J. Stroud is on it. We're going to actually go 1 through 5 because I don't think anyone's going to have any debate on who number 1 is. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes?
I guess.
Okay,
sure,
fine. We're good. It's like when they tried to do John Elway for the Hall of Fame. Whoever was sending him up to the committee, they were just like, John Elway, and then they sat down.
Right.
I don't really need to do more with Patrick Mahomes. You guys can probably guess who is number 2 on my list. It is not Aaron Rodgers. It is Josh Allen.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Did you forget about the flag? Did you forget about the flag?
The flag. He planted it.
Yeah, exactly. Short-term memory.
Right.
Okay, so those 2, pretty easy. Okay, 3rd best quarterback in the AFC.
Number 8.
All right.
Guys never want to play.
Dude, he's a 500 quarterback. At what point are we going to hold him accountable? I understand the Charger's going to charge her.
Yeah.
But come on, he's a 500 quarterback.
By the way, he has no weapons.
3 offensive coordinators in 4 years. He's about to have his 3rd head coach, and he is on an absolutely historic pace. No one in NFL history has thrown for more yards in the first 4 years of a career than Justin Herbert. Okay, so there's the list.
Wait a minute. No weapons? No weapons? Did you not listen? Did you not listen to Jim Harbaugh? He drafted offensive lineman. Tip of the spear. Tip of the spear, he said.
But wait, you say, okay, most passing yards in first 4 years of a career. All right, it's new guy. They just pass the ball all the time. Other guys on this list are going to be modern. Let's see number 2. Was he good? Peyton Manning.
All right.
Peyton Manning.
All right.
Okay.
He turned out okay.
All right. Well, then, okay. At some point, we're going to get.
Jury's still out. My jury's still out.
Let's get number 3. Let's get number 3.
Go ahead.
Dan Marino.
That's my guy.
Okay. So in terms of pure passing,
Little kid's table, Craig.
Justin Herbert. We're going to get to big boy table at some point.
Yeah.
So Justin Herbert, 3rd best quarterback in the AFC. We'll continue on with the list to see if C.J. Stroud can make it.
I mean,
he can not make it. Number 4 is
number 8.
Joe Burrow. If he's healthy, they're in the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl.
You know, I want to tell you guys, and I mean this too. The last time I sat down with Joe, which was last year, I told him that I personally take some responsibility for his success in the NFL.
Is that right?
Yeah, because I prayed for his tiny little hands. I really did. And you know what? He's been good ever since.
Did he like that?
Yeah, he did. He thought that was fun.
They told me he's a mitten man, not a glove man. There's Eminem right there.
I mean,
Look, but
that's the 4th best quarterback in the AFC.
They
right there.
obviously, the caveat to that, no one disputes that he should be on that list. Of course, I agree with you. Is the first thing you said. You know, at some point you gotta play. Yeah, you can't miss half the games your team plays, and unfortunately he has.
Right, he's played 4 years, and he's finished 2 of them, and when he finishes them, they basically are playing in the biggest games in the sport. 5th best quarterback in the AFC is C.J. Stroud. Is C.J. Stroud on it?
No.
The 2-time MVP. The point is this. Aaron Rodgers isn't a top 5 quarterback in the AFC. C.J. Stroud is not yet a top 5 quarterback in the AFC. So it was an incredible rookie season where he had 23 touchdowns, and 5 of those touchdowns came in 1 game against Tampa. So let's just all take a little breath on C.J. Stroud before we anoint him in this true upper echelon.
Boy, it is a
perfect list. I agree.
No, it's a good. I'll give you that. It's a good list, but it's a what do you call it? Just a just
It's a
scarlet letter.
No,
it's a scarlet letter on the NFC. Like, where's the NFC quarterbacks on this list?
He's only listing AFC quarterbacks.
Oh, it's only AFC
top
quarterbacks?
5 AFC
Well, that's why there's no NFC list quarterbacks on there. I'm telling you. Come on.
Otherwise, Caleb Williams would be on
At
there.
8 o'clock this morning.
He made a mistake. Okay, we get that? Jalen Hurts says things are good, but are they really in Philadelphia? We discuss next.
Heather likes things smooth. So when she had a rough time getting a weight loss appointment, she came to us. Through Ro, she connected with a provider online and got a GLP-1 prescription. Now she's on her way to losing 20% of her weight in a year with diet and exercise.
Now that's smooth.
We got you, Heather. See if you qualify at ro.co/TV.
Send those pics in. What we running with today? You already know.
Joe, Trav is about to go off tonight.
Facts. That's the play.
Run it, and I'll see y'all tonight.
Might have to run that. I told y'all to run that. Come on now. You said it. Come on. You said it.
Download the PrizePicks app today. Enter $5 and get $50 instantly. PrizePicks, run your game.
World, the time has come to
Push the button.
World, the time has come to
Push the button.
World, the time has come to
Push the button.
Get this low-mileage lease on this 2024 GMC Hummer EV pickup for around $849 per month. We are professional grade GMC.
Fueled by ProPlan. See our full story at ProPlansport.com.
Hey, after an offseason of speculation surrounding their relationship, Jalen Hurts addressed whether there are any issues with head coach Nick Sirianni, and he said this. As we go into the season, Nick Sirianni and I have a great understanding. We have mutual respect for one another, and we're in a great space. I think it's an elephant in the room for everybody else, but not for me. There you go.
Yeah.
So it got us to thinking, Nick Sirianni could be on the hot seat, right? He could be on the hot seat this year. But who is on a hotter seat in the NFC East? Danny, I'll start with you. Is it Sirianni or is it Mike McCarthy?
Oh, okay. I mean, it's Mike McCarthy. Nick Sirianni's on a hot seat, and it's Philly, but Mike McCarthy doesn't have a contract beyond this year. They're just flatly...
Details, Danny, details.
They're just flatly letting him be a lame duck head coach. And the last time Dallas had a lame duck head coach, it was Jason Garrett, and they let his contract expire, and they hired Mike McCarthy. So this is very clearly telegraphing that if Mike McCarthy does not improve on his postseason success, he's gone. What is his postseason success? It's awful. He deserves to be on the hot seat. That is, since his Super Bowl win, he has a losing record, and he has exactly one singular playoff win when Aaron Rodgers isn't his quarterback. So if he is not in the NFC Championship game or further this year, he's not coming back next year.
No, I'm with you on that, but there's also something about expectations. Like, the expectations in Philly are, we're going to the Super Bowl. We bring in Saquon Barkley.
You don't think that's Jerry Jones' expectation?
I don't think it's a realistic expectation.
He's not a realistic guy.
Fair enough. And then I think the fan base is coming to, like you said, and obviously I lived and worked in Philly, and they are a very tough fan base. They can get people fired. Not every city has a fan base that's got that level of power, but when you're sitting on the number 1 seed 10 weeks into a season and you go 1-6 down the stretch a year after going to the Super Bowl, fans are going, we got to fire somebody. Now, coordinators lost their jobs, and Sirianni survives. But as much as we all agree Mike McCarthy obviously is going to be on the hot seat because he's a lame duck coach contractually, do not get it twisted. If the Eagles get off to a bad start, I don't think they will. But if they do, Nick Sirianni is not surviving a 1-6 run at any point of this season.
At some point, you just can't keep firing coordinators, right? At some point, you've already done it. At some point, you're going to hold somebody else accountable other than your coordinators. And you're not changing. One thing I know about the NFL, you're not changing your roster, right?
No.
Your roster is set. You've made that money. You've made that investment in Hurts. You've made the investment in the players.
Here's the other thing. When you compare the two guys, right? Mike McCarthy, I happen to like Mike McCarthy a great deal. Like you said, he does have a Super Bowl win. Can't take that away from him. We can make excuses for a lot of the losses where they should have made another run to a Super Bowl.
He cost me a ton of money in that NFC Championship game against Seattle. I'll never forgive him for those field goals inside the 5-yard line. Now we're getting into the reality of it.
I'll
never forgive him.
He's taking money out of your bank account.
I'll never forgive him.
We're finally being real on this show, that son of a gun. Listen, when I used to gamble, Michigan State killed me every year. All right, another story for another day. But the reality of this situation is that Mike McCarthy owns it. He knows what he is. He knows what he isn't, right? That's a little different, though, with Nick Sirianni, because when Nick Sirianni was asked, well, if Kellen Moore's calling the offense, this guy's calling the defense, like, what do you do?
Yeah.
And his answer was, whatever Fat Dom tells me to do. You know, the security guard who eats prosciutto for breakfast, right?
Yeah,
hey,
he's husky. It's husky Dom.
Plus size Dom.
Okay.
I'm fat shaming a fat guy.
Fat shaming.
Sorry about that. But like that can only happen in Philadelphia,
right?
Where Fat Dom is now the guy that is in charge of controlling your head coach.
Yeah, I don't like that. I'm just going to move on because I don't like the term.
I apologize.
Dom is a good man.
Maybe go for a walk.
And he's great at keeping people off the sideline.
And
he's got that girth. He's got that girth. Hey, moving on from the NFC East to the AFC East. So, Craig, I ask you, hotter seat, is it Robert Saleh or Mike McDaniel?
All right, so look. It's like, who's the taller dwarf in the circus, right? Robert Saleh is on the hottest seat of any seat in the NFL, and only because Aaron Rodgers said, I want him back, is he back. He's not earned the right to come back. He's not deserved the right to come back. He's not had a winning season yet. Yes, has built a fantastic defense, and no one's going to dispute the fact that he's a really good defensive coordinator. He has yet to prove that he's a really good head coach. But we all know the reality. In a vacuum, maybe one and done, the New York Jets have a roster that's good enough to compete for a Super Bowl. So, number one, we got to win some football games. All right, we got to have a winning record. Number two, we got to be in the playoffs. Number three, we have to win playoff games. If any of those three things don't happen, Robert Saleh will be a defensive coordinator somewhere else next year. Now, flip it to Mike McDaniel. While Saleh's seat is hotter, everyone fell in love with Mike McDaniel, quirky Mike McDaniel, capri pant wearing, Biggie Smalls rapping.
Guilty. I love the guy.
Maybe he vapes during games. We don't know. Right?
I relate to him.
You're the only analyst in America could dwarf Mike McDaniel, Coach Capri Pants.
Now,
you like it because you're so much bigger than him.
Again, I relate to him. I see myself in the guy.
Here's the deal. You've got Tyreek. You've got Waddle. You had Mostert, who had a ridiculous year last year with 18 touchdowns. Defense is suspect. I think we can agree on that based on injuries, et cetera, et cetera. But at some point, they collapsed last year, not the level Philly did, but pretty close, where they gave that division away to Buffalo towards the end of last year. We know what happened in Kansas City. We can blame the weather all you want. I don't do that. They didn't show up to play. At some point, you have to win a playoff game.
Yeah, right? There's no question. And you know what? Especially at the end of the season, like my theory about warm weather places when you play is everywhere else in the NFL, when it's tough, when it's nasty, the coaches are on you. They're just in your ass about whatever went wrong and all that stuff. And then you walk, and it's drizzly, it's gray, it's nasty, it's snowing, and life is miserable. When you play in Tampa Bay or
South Beach,
Miami or wherever, when you play in Miami, you walk out and you go, hey, man, let's go get a Mai Tai or let's go get a cocktail, right? It's beautiful out. Let's go to the beach. Like, it feels like there's less stress. I don't even think we have the right people on here, though.
But
I think Sean McDermott needs to be on this.
I gotta stop you there for a second. It ain't miserable when you're making the money these guys make, and you have a lousy practice, and it's raining and snowy in Denver, and you pull up in your G-Wagon to your $10 million house.
All right,
It's not terrible.
All right. Time out. I think, listen, man, I don't even know. All right, we're moving on.
Small story.
Go.
My turn? Okay, fantastic. Small story, big deal. Let's start in Green Bay. Obviously, they just lost their backup running back to injury. But that doesn't bother me as much as the fact that a team that may have gone to an NFC Championship game last year, if not for their kicking, as you see the 41-yard miss that would have given Green Bay a touchdown lead in San Francisco in the playoffs last year. He's out, Anders Carlson. Greg Joseph is the last man standing, meaning right now, a team that a lot of people have pegged as a potential upset pick to upstage the Lions and win that division and maybe make another run deep into the playoffs. They don't have a kicker. You can't go to a Super Bowl if you don't have a kicker. So I know the focus is on running back right now. But the reality is that this team will go into the season next Friday in Brazil against the Eagles with, at best, an average kicker.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge deal because if the goal is the Super Bowl, your margin of error is very slim. But there's a lot of year-to-year changeover at kicker. Like, so if this guy doesn't work, they're going to bring in somebody else. And maybe they'll land on someone or not. There are very few teams in the NFL that are like, we've got our kicker solidified for the next 10 years.
Yeah, but it's a small story, but I think not having a kicker is a big deal. And let me tell you why, Mark. It ain't that hard. I've done it. Roll the tape. 40-yard kick. Bang. What's
look
up,
at
Florida?
you.
Park?
Yeah. Man, that'd have gotten stuffed right back in your face. That doesn't even get over the line of scrimmage, man. That hit the guard in the butt. The left guard hit right in the butt.
Someone in the studio just said that would have been good for 15.
Is that why this story's a big deal? So we can just play that B-roll?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, listen, it's a kicker. Nobody talks to kickers anyhow, Craig. Move on.
All right. Second story out of San Francisco. Look, you always feel bad for guys that are on the fringe of making teams and playing a role when they get hurt. Elijah Mitchell, the backup running back in San Francisco to Christian McCaffrey, unfortunately is now out for the year. For many people, that is a small story, but for us, that is a big deal because McCaffrey gets hurt too. Notoriously, he misses a lot of time throughout his career, meaning that there's the possibility if McCaffrey does miss time, and he typically does thus far in his career, 5 games with the hamstring, 5 with the ankle, 4 with the thigh, the shoulder bone's connected to the ankle bone, and all those games that he has missed over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, that means that there's a chance. Brandon Ayuk, who knows contractually where his head's at.
Yeah.
Trent Williams, he don't have a contract. He ain't playing as of right now. And then if McCaffrey's out, you're going to a bunch of backups who really have very little NFL experience.
Okay, with that said, though, you go back to his dad, Mike Shanahan, who I played for, go to the system, the way they run the football. One thing I don't worry about, now it's not Christian McCaffrey, right? I used to say this all the time. TD would make up for a multitude of sins. Terrell Davis, right? Make up for a multitude of sins. And, you know, you may lose a little production, but that system is so damn good, and those guys are so coached in that system that I think even with a backup running back having to come in and spell McCaffrey, they're still going to be okay the way they run the football.
Exactly. Anyone can run and be productive in that system. It's just a question.
Well, that's not anyone. Like, I couldn't run and be productive in that system.
You can walk.
Yeah, sure. But no, any professional running back for a short period of time, they're not going to be Christian McCaffrey. If it's 3 games, they'd be fine.
And
if it's the whole
basically,
season,
if I'm an NFC fan of a different team, all of a sudden, little chinks in the armor, little teeny holes, little teeny holes in the dike. All of a sudden, you can't plug all of them. So just keep an eye on the running back situation in San Francisco. And that brings me to one more small story, big deal. Cleveland Browns announced yesterday that they have Deshaun Watson as their starter, and they have Jameis Winston as a backup, and Huntley as a backup, and DTR as a backup, meaning the Cleveland Browns, as of this moment, I know there's some rumored trades out there that might happen, but as we sit here today, September 12th, 2024, make that up, the Cleveland Browns are going into the season
you don't know the date.
With 4 quarterbacks. And what does Mark always tell us? If you got 4 quarterbacks,
you don't have any.
Which is why keeping a 4th quarterback may seem like a small story, but it is a big deal.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, they won games with a lot of different quarterbacks
They
last
certainly
year.
did.
Yeah,
So,
and I'm surprised Joe Flacco's not one of them.
Hey, yesterday we had our AFC Bowl predictions. Today we flipped the script. NFC Bowl predictions. That's next.
It started. As former athletes, we know the benefit of having a strong teammate right beside us, both in life and with our finances.
Working with Darvin gave us a deeper understanding of money and the impact on others we can make with it.
Oh my God. What? The host is coming back.
Meanwhile, at a Verbo.
Oh my God. I've got 1 key cash from this house.
When other vacation rentals throw curveballs, try one that gives rewards.
Join the million-plus fans who have made game days more entertaining by playing along on Underdog. Basketball fans from all over the United States have won over $1 billion. Underdog Fantasy, calling all dogs.
Stop bird then.
It's a male finch. They give seeds to females in a bonding ritual.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Breakfast Ball. Now, yesterday we gave you our bold AFC predictions. So today we declare our bold NFC predictions, starting with Craig. So what do you got, buddy?
Look at the machine right there.
Look at him.
Oh, my goodness.
Man, that guy's so handsome. Well, all right, so the idea behind this is we're going to be bold. So you're going to go out on a limb a little bit here.
Something you believe, but you're going out on a limb.
So I'm going to find something that's a possibility of happening that I think I could sell the American people on and my constituents right here. You two knuckleheads, all right? So I just told you that it's a big deal that the Green Bay Packers don't have a real kicker going into the season, especially considering how they lost that playoff game to San Francisco last year. They also don't have a backup running back right now. The only other thing they don't have, a proven quarterback. So if you take stock of the fact that Detroit comes back with everybody essentially, and as you said yesterday, they've even made their defense a little bit better with some signings and offensive coordinators back, head coaches back, continuity. You love Jared Goff. So just for the moment, let's just anoint them repeat division winners, all right? Chicago, your favorite team.
You're speaking my language right
Let's
now.
go, Caleb Williams, the second coming of Sid Luckman in Chicago.
Yeah.
He's going to bring them, whatever he's going to bring them, right? So all of a sudden, Green Bay's looking at best of the wild card. So I'm taking stock of Green Bay Beavers just yet. They've given me no reason to believe that they're going to be.
They're young and talented.
Young.
Yeah.
Young and talented.
Christian's the best of them, but young, unproven. Right. And when I take a look at what was a great month and a half from Jordan Love, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Damn near didn't throw a single pick in a month and a half. He's played 6 good games in his NFL career.
Okay, stop with the filibuster and tell us what your prediction is.
So my prediction is that the Green Bay Packers, which I opened with, knucklehead, that the Green Bay Packers do not make the postseason.
From your mouth to God's ears. That would be glorious. I just can't live in this world where they get to go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to another MVP caliber quarterback. I just can't live in that world. So I am really hoping you're right. But he was so good
for 6 weeks. Now I'm gonna play into what you've said on the show a couple times this week, which is. And we fundamentally disagree on it, but I respect where you're coming from. You think Dallas is going to be better than I do.
Yeah.
All right, so if you think Dallas can really push Philly to win that division, I don't, you do. You got to have Dallas at least in as a wild card, right? Well, there's only 3 of them. So now you're running out of spaces for Green Bay to get in if they don't win that division.
It really depends on how you feel about Jordan Love, which I think Jordan Love, I just think the sky's the limit. The way he played toward the end of last season, and I had this conversation with Aaron Rodgers when he was still playing with Green Bay about the development of Jordan Love. I will name drop every day on this show.
So 3 years ago, you talked about
it. All right, here's what he said. He goes, we had this conversation about how I grew in this offense or how I grew as a quarterback because I took it to our defense on scout team. And that's where I learned how to have all those off-angle and off-arm platform throws. And you need, to basically pick it up. And Jordan Love did that in his last year that made them comfortable with moving on from Aaron Rodgers. And so what I saw last year toward the end of the season, I think Jordan Love is a big-time player. You're right about this, though. There's only so many wildcard teams. And I do think Detroit is winning this division.
So then you have, if the Rams repeat last year, make it to the playoffs, that's obviously yet to be seen. And we agree San Fran wins that division. And the NFC South stinks, so only one of those teams gets in, last year was Tampa. Maybe it's Atlanta this year. So you have Dallas, you've got the Rams, and now you've got a potential fight between your Bears and the Green Bay Packers. They're not a guarantee to get into the postseason.
It's not the Bears. It'll be Packers.
I think the Bears are in.
Hey, you did mention. No, I'm just moving on. You did mention. You did mention the LA Rams, and I think one of the things that's interesting about the LA Rams is they are a power run football team disguised as a spread team, and so they bludgeon people up front. And what happened to them a couple of years ago is they let their whole offensive line deteriorate. They addressed that last offseason. They got themselves back into the playoffs. I actually think with all the issues going on in San Francisco right now, Trent Williams, we're talking about Brandon Ayuk. We're talking about all the things. Wi-Fi. We've been talking about Wi-Fi for crying out loud.
Right.
Like, I happen to think that the LA Rams actually win the NFC East. They run the football, or West, excuse me. Yeah. They run the football. They have Puka Nacua back. They've got Cooper Kupp back. I think Matt Stafford's one of the best quarterbacks in football. I think they've solved some of the issues where they used to get beat up and pushed around by San Francisco. I think they usurp the 49ers in the West and win that division.
Wow. That'd be absolutely huge. I do have a little sprinkle on Matt Stafford, 25-1 to be MVP this year. So I hope you're right.
Sprinkle.
A little sprinkle.
I like that.
A little sprinkle. Just a little something to keep me interested in that 4:05 Eastern window.
You better hang on to that corporate housing.
Yeah. Maybe more sprinkles. That was radio sprinkles. This is TV sprinkles that we got going on here.
I would just say this, and I'm just going to ask the producers upstairs. Is the name of the segment who can have the dumbest prediction or the boldest? No, they said boldest. So
Boldest.
We'll just skip yours and go right to Danny.
No, it was bold.
Like, come on. Even though San Francisco right now doesn't have Trent Williams locked up contractually where he will be content, and Brandon Ayuk, who, by the way, is going to play. He made that clear by traveling with them to Vegas for that final preseason game. They're still the best team talent-wise. They are. So I give the Rams credit for their resurgence last year because I truly felt that they were looking at 5 years of out of the playoffs bad football and sold their soul for the Super Bowl, which no fans could have a problem with because you got the Super Bowl championship. So I give them a lot of credit for turning that around a lot quicker than I know I gave them the ability to turn it around with, but everybody's chasing San Francisco. Let's just keep.
Well, that's why it's bold. That's why it's bold.
You know I love you, but it's stupid.
No, it's bold.
Sorry.
It's not stupid.
You're not stupid.
This segment is not called stupid predictions. It's called bold, and that was
why'd
bold.
you do it?
All right, Danny, how about you? What's your bold prediction?
The Atlanta Falcons are going to be the 1 seed in the NFC.
Oh,
I love it. Okay.
Hey, Greg. Now, how do you like mine now?
All right, hold on.
It's less stupid, right? It's less dumb. Yeah.
All right. I wanted to lead with the prediction, and now you guys think it's so stupid, and now I will build the case.
Okay.
All right. San Francisco 49ers have all these issues that we've talked about. Are they issues? We don't know, but they have a real challenger in the Rams. Maybe you're going to be the best offense in the NFC. Could beat up on each other a little bit. NFC East, Cowboys and Eagles could be beating up on each other a little bit. NFC North, Lions, Bears, Packers, going to beat up on each other. We know the NFC South is the worst division in the NFC, maybe the worst division in the entire NFL, and they've got really good players, and they just had bottom 3 quarterback play. You add in Kirk Cousins and depth with the draft pick of Penix, and look at the schedule. Look at Atlanta's schedule, and after the first 3 weeks, okay, Steelers at home, they're favored, by the way. Then it's at Philly and home against Kansas City. Look at the rest of the Atlanta Falcons schedule. Where's the tough game? Where if they got competent quarterback play and they already had an average defense and maybe it could be a little bit better with experience and they actually, get Bijan Robinson the ball and get Drake London the ball and get Kyle Pitts the ball and they upgraded with Rondell Moore and Darnell Mooney so they actually have depth of weapons there with a real quarterback who could spread it around. Where are the losses after week 4?
It turns out I should pay more attention the last 6 weeks of everybody's schedule.
Would you
look at that? Would you look at that?
Yeah.
By the way, I love the strategy, though. We've got an injured veteran quarterback that we paid $100 million to. Right. So let's go ahead and draft the most injured quarterback in college football history to back him up. That one didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
But you would agree they've upgraded at quarterback.
Hey, listen, I thought last year they should have won 10 games. I thought clearly they were the best team in the South.
I would just say this. Look,
I do agree. I think they're going to win this division.
They should be better because they have a competent quarterback. He ain't a top 10 quarterback, but he's certainly competent.
Yeah.
And more competent than anything they've had since Matt Ryan left there. But it's still a big question mark of what Kirk Cousins is at this stage of his career. And to be fair, you have sat there for the last 2 days. Dan, you sat there in rehearsals and attacked my quarterback for being a 40-year-old coming
That's
off
5
what?
more years.
Coming off what?
He's 5 years older than Cousins.
The same injury.
He's 5 years older. 5 years older.
That's a good point.
5 years older.
Craig
5 years
won.
older.
You get one.
5
Hey,
years older.
Justin Fields spoke about QB1 battle in Pittsburgh. We listen and react next.
They're dudes.
For a limited time, Subway just dropped the price of every footlong in the app to $6.99. Wait, Subway did what? $6.99? That can't be right. Yep, says right here, $6.99 for any footlong. So that means $6.99 will get me a hot and toasty Outlaw, or a Subway Club, or a Hot Shot Italiano, or a...
Literally, any sub in the menu.
My bad. Don't miss out on this deal. Get any footlong for just $6.99 in the Subway app. Order now, before it's too late.
Will you?
What did you do?
I got a little design help.
I'm in sweats, Derek. It's perfect. And I'm in sweatpants.
At the Ram Make This the Summer event, you can take a vacation from payments on the most awarded light and heavy-duty trucks. The most luxurious Ram 1500 ever. And the #1 brand in new vehicle quality. Hurry into your local Ram dealer and make the most of your summer with great deals plus no payments for 90 days.
Right now, during the Ram Make This the Summer event, get $3,000 cash allowance plus no monthly payments for 90 days on the purchase of most 2025 Ram 1500 trucks.
Saturday, it's baseball night in America on Fox as the Braves take on NL East rival Bryce Harper and the Phillies, or it's a battle of the NL Central as the Brewers take on Ellie De La Cruz and the Reds. It all begins Saturday night at 7 Eastern on Fox. Check your local listing for games in your area. All right, let's get to first and football. Now, Jamar Chase returned to practice for the Bengals this week, and head coach Zach Taylor says he's confident Chase is going to be ready for week 1. Don't forget, Chase has gotten off to slow starts the last 2 seasons. So, Craig, you expect any rust?
No.
Coming into this season from Jamar Chase.
This is why the preseason's not for great players. It's for guys trying to make teams, not for guys like Jamar Chase, especially because he comes back with his quarterback on the field. Tell me it's a new quarterback, a new coach, a new system, something.
Yeah.
And then I think there's a greater value.
Don't forget last year, too, Burrow was hurt. I mean, he was, they missed the preseason. So So
no, look, I'm with you. Zach Taylor's right. You know, Jamar Chase has been, when you're talking about, we always forget, we're talking about kids. We're talking about world-class athletes in their mid-20s who do one thing and one thing only, and that's work out, run, exercise, stay in shape. So there was never a concern in Cincinnati that whenever Jamar decided to kind of rejoin the team and actually put on pads and practice, whether or not he'd be good to go.
Right. I mean, back in the day, in the offseason, NFL players would work construction or have side jobs. Now they have nutritionists and physical trainers, and they're in excellent shape. And NFL players in the collective bargaining, they make the practices easier. You're not going to do 2-a-days anymore. There's a limit on the number of padded practices that you can have. So these guys are working out harder with their personal trainers in the offseason than they are in training.
The only thing that scares me, it's one of the reasons I speculate that injuries go up in the NFL or have gone up in the NFL. And that is, in today's game, the athletes train like track stars.
Right.
In my time, we train like football players. And there's a big difference between...
Explain the difference.
Okay, so if you're running routes, right, and you're running routes, what does it matter? So you don't develop the kinesthetic awareness. Like when I'm running a route and I've got somebody leaning on me and pushing on me, there's a difference in how your body controls, the different feel. And so a lot of guys train like they're track stars.
If I may, I don't want to be rude.
It's true.
I'm sorry to be rude and interrupt what's a fabulous point. Kinesthetic?
Yeah. Isn't that kinesthetic awareness? Balance.
What the heck
proprioception.
is kinesthetic?
I mean, honestly, in that shirt, you look like you can still run routes. So I'm just going to take your word for it.
Listen, look, can I tell you guys something? In all seriousness, and I mean this, I'm a freaking unit. I am a freaking unit, man. It's unbelievable.
I'm not going to dispute that point.
We also have a rule on the show: if you can't spell it, you can't use it.
Well, I can't spell it. I'm dyslexic. I can't spell anything. That trumps it every time. All right, second down. Let's go to second down. As the Steelers QB battle is still undecided, Justin Fields was asked yesterday, and here's what he had to say about it.
I mean, yeah, I feel like me and him really don't pay attention to the outside stuff. I mean, I know me personally, I don't watch ESPN or SportsCenter or anything like that. So we really haven't really talked about it, to be honest with you. We just come in and work.
He's a Fox Sports 1 guy.
All right. Listen, man, I don't know, but watching that video, does it feel like, and I don't, I can't read into like you can.
Yeah.
But does it feel like it's already a foregone conclusion that he didn't win that battle?
Yeah.
Like he already knows?
Is
that what that felt like?
He got traded for like a 14th round pick. He's well aware of where he stands. He's also lying because if you and I are competing for one job and we're both grown men and we know we're competing for the job.
And we work in the same room that's about an 8x10 space.
Even if we want to pretend like we're really pulling for each other and we're great teammates and, man, if you win the job, I got your back and I'll be there, do the best I can to support you. We certainly address it at some point. We don't just go there like living parallel lives and never have a conversation about what might happen.
Well, wait a minute.
Now, when Mike Tomlin goes, I'll let you guys know on Friday.
Hey, it is Russ, though. So, I mean, there could be.
Nah,
there could be.
Caveat.
Yeah, right. There could be like, I tried to have a conversation.
Right. Like if Justin's like, look, I've taken him out 3 times for dinner. I keep bringing it up. He doesn't want to talk about it.
Right. It could be. That could be the issue.
It's certainly possible. I mean, if this gets really ugly, and they're expected to be the worst team in their division, miss the playoffs, be the first losing season for Mike Tomlin, we're going to ask the question of whether or not this was all worth it.
Sure.
Because of the names and the attention and all that, it's like you're going to have guys picking sides, and Justin is cool and popular, and Russ is Russ. That it's going to be weird and a distraction for a 6-win football team. It's not going to be worth it.
And that's the key to it. This gets interesting for guys like us, ugly for those guys. Look, I think Russell Wilson's going to be starting, so let's play out that narrative. If he struggles, if he's the causal reason why they lose games, we live this life. You've lived it post-career. Sure. I'm going to be in the locker room, not talking to Russell Wilson. I'm going to Justin Fields. Hey, your thoughts on your buddy there who just cost you a game?
Who you don't talk to, evidently.
Right. So that's where it becomes an issue. And the one thing you can relate to, we can't, is the guys in the locker room know. And if you're wasting your blood, sweat, and tears on a football field for a guy that's costing you games, you're not going to be happy.
Well, I'll tell you this, too. The other thing about the quarterback position is when you win, you've got to deflect all the attention. 100% of the attention goes to your teammates and what they did. When you lose, you have to take 100% of the blame as a quarterback. And one thing I've learned watching Russell Wilson and listening to Russell Wilson, he is like a freaking French waiter. We. When they lose, he's like, oh, we have to protect better. No, you got to quit taking sacks. That's on you 100%, and that does not play well with your teammates, and that's where Fields certainly, I think, has the advantage.
He's a great leader. Every guy to a man, starters, backups, strength and conditioning, everybody loved how Justin Fields carried himself in the leadership stuff. It was basically getting to the second read.
So let me ask you guys the question. Would you rather have a great leader or a great player?
Is Russ a great player?
He was. Yeah,
it's been.
I agree that he's out there. He's kind of aloof.
So
not
now
one of
that both guys,
but I'd rather have a guy that can play.
Okay, but both guys are questionable. I think Fields can play you put him in a system in which accentuates his ability to run the ball, all that stuff.
No, exactly.
Come on.
Right.
All right, moving on. We're going to get to third down now. Here it is. The Chiefs cut Kadarius Toney yesterday after a disappointing season with the team last year. Danny, what's your reaction to the Chiefs moving on from Toney?
I can't believe it took this long. Honestly, I mean, they brought in Hollywood Brown. They drafted Xavier Worthy the other day. It's Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, that montage that we just showed of drops, I mean, it could have been 5 times as long. Their wide receiver core led the NFL in drops last year. And, I mean, the Lions game to open the year, lost the game because of him. The Broncos, they could have had an undefeated season if Kadarius Toney would have held on to the damn ball. So I was shocked that they even brought him back.
So he got benched in the postseason last year.
Yeah.
And of all the coaches out there, and there's a few that I would compare to Andy Reid, that's the guy that's the easiest to get along with and even to get over on a couple times by being a knucklehead and being young joker who wants to be a rapper more than he wants to be, a football player. So if a guy like Andy Reid sours on you,
right,
nobody else is going to want you. Now, we've seen him have some amazing, catches and runs, and he had a touchdown in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. So we know he's got some God-given talent. Will he get another shot? Probably. Some will give him a flyer. But he's also, look, I've done this for more than 30 years. You're in 20. You played and did this for 20 years. One of the most unlikable guys I have ever covered or seen in the NFL.
Wow. Well, here's the issue, because he is incredibly talented.
No doubt.
Yeah. But I want great football players. Like I always say, talent's wasted on talented people. I want great football players. And I hate it when young guys are more concerned with building a brand than they are their career.
Yeah.
And that's what he feels like to me. He's a young guy that doesn't seem to have the priorities straight, what it takes to become.
And the crazy thing is, one thing, all right, things didn't work out in New York. All right, there's a lot of reasons for that. He bears some responsibility for it. But then you go to, I think we all agree, the single greatest situation for a wide receiver in the sport, because number 15 is your quarterback.
Right.
And Andy Reid's your play caller.
Right. You're going to get 10 targets every single game.
Yeah.
And the fact that he couldn't make that work, listen, I would stay away from that guy, recognizing he's got some ridiculous moves and talent a lot of guys only hope to have. I won't want that guy anywhere near my locker room.
Yeah. All right, let's move it on to fourth down.
We made it.
Jets wide receiver Mike Williams participated in team drills yesterday for the first time in training camp. So, Craig, you trust Williams will stay healthy this season?
No.
All right.
No.
Okay. Good.
Keep it real on the show. But I did say throughout the summer what Robert Saleh told me and what Mike Williams told me. He absolutely would be ready for week 1. Which is great coming off the knee injury and all that. And again, whatever amount of games the New York Jets do get out of him, it's a gift. Because we all recognize when Mike Williams is healthy, which sadly is not all that often throughout his career, the dude is a money wide receiver.
Well, and he's perfect for Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Like those back shoulder fades that he can throw down in the red zone, go up and get it balls. Like it's just, I mean, the guy's been injured since college. I mean, I remember at Clemson, he broke his neck, missed a season, came back, was good. Like first game of the year, just collided with the back of the end zone, went down. Like he has come over injury after injury after injury his whole career, and honestly had a pretty good career and made a ton of money. If he was healthy, he'd be in the conversation as a top 10 or 12.
Look, the Jets are interesting at the wide receiver position, right? Because we all know Garrett Wilson's a stud. Probably the best third-year wide receiver in the sport. I'm sure you could argue, but he's there, right?
Yeah.
And then you have Alan Lazard, who forgot how to catch the ball last year. And we could blame, the quarterback situation to a certain extent for that. But Alan Lazard was an absolute donut last year. And then you've got guys that are not household names like Brownlee, for example, like Gibson, for example. Mike Williams represents, if healthy, a legitimate threat on the other side of the field from Garrett Wilson, meaning I can't just double Garrett every single time Aaron Rodgers drops back to pass. The question mark, of course, is, like you said, how many games do I get out of a guy that never plays 17?
Yeah, I think the big thing also is third downs. That's where the quarterbacks make their money. There's a target that's big. There's a target that can go over the top, right? Lift the top of coverage. There's a guy in the red zone that could be a huge target. And as an insurance policy, though, Craig, I was just thinking about this.
Yeah.
You know who they're going to get? Kadarius Toney.
Stop.
Right? They can get Kadarius Toney. Hey, CeeDee Lamb is signed, sealed, delivered in Dallas. Will Dak be next? We discuss it next on Breakfast Ball.
Think scale.
For a limited time, Subway just dropped the price of every footlong in the app to $6.99. Wait, Subway did what? $6.99? That can't be right. Yep, says right here, $6.99 for any footlong. So that means $6.99 will get me a hot and toasty outlaw, or a Subway Club, or a hot shot Italiano, or
Literally, any sub on the menu.
My bad. Don't miss out on this deal. Get any footlong for just $6.99 in the Subway app. Order now before it's too late.
More from your water with sugar-free hydration. Proprietary amino acid allulose blend. No artificial sweeteners. Superior hydration than water alone. Tear, pour, live more. Liquid IV.
SmartLiner is all about protecting your vehicle from the inside out with style, quality, and durability. We use innovative 3D scanning to create top-of-the-line custom-fit floor liners that are durable and complement the interior of your vehicle. Our custom-fit liners are designed to provide full coverage from whatever life brings. Easy to clean and ready for combat. We work diligently to create the smartest liner in the industry. Make the smart choice. Choose SmartLiner.
Hey, welcome back to Breakfast Ball. We've got some breaking news right now. Jay Glazer, our own Jay Glazer from Fox, says it's official. Russ named Week 1 starter in Pittsburgh. There it is, Craig. I mean, that was your prediction, right? That Russ would be the guy. Week 1, you got it. And so go ahead, take your victory lap, my friend. Take your victory lap.
He predicted what Mike Tomlin said he was going to do back in the start of training camp.
Hey, I'm going to say, you don't get a lot of wins, so I want you to take this one.
I don't understand how this is a win.
Hang on. If you got a win for saying CeeDee Lamb would get a contract yesterday.
He was holding out at least.
I'm taking this
All
as
right,
a W.
That's fine. That's fine.
Look, so Jay reports that this is a no-brainer to me. And again, don't think you're not going to see Justin Fields. You're going to see him. There are going to be packages. I know they haven't shown it in the preseason. Why would you?
Yeah, sure.
Right? There are going to be packages where both men are on the field. I wouldn't even be surprised if there is a couple plays where Russ starts, then runs out wide, and all of a sudden Justin comes up behind center. So it's Russell Wilson's job until it's not. But this is the right choice. Veteran quarterback, chip on his shoulder, something to prove. And he's got more success, obviously, than Justin Fields.
Well, until it's not. And the reason the reason that would happen is because of Russell's propensity to take sacks. And he does it constantly. And this is the problem. Here he is in the preseason. You see it's 3rd down and 10. They're playing the sticks, meaning those receivers got to get over that. So what do? Climb the pocket. Pocket awareness has been a huge issue for Russ since the day he got in the league. Climb that pocket. There's escape lanes, there's escape routes, and it gives your receivers time to get over that 1st down mark. But instead, what's Russ going to do? What he always does, peel out the back of the pocket and run yourself into a sack. Those are the things that drive players crazy, that drive coaches crazy, and that's going to be the reason right there. If in fact he does lose that starting job, it will be because he takes too many sacks and puts them in harm's way too often.
And then they will go to someone who also takes too many sacks, which is why this is.
Hey, details, Danny, details.
Okay, all right, which is why this is a really weird quarterback controversy. Because I agree with Craig that it makes sense. It's easier to go from Russ to Fields than Fields to Russ, because when Fields is starting, you're not going to have a Russell Wilson package, but you absolutely could have a Justin Fields package with Russell Wilson. He's the veteran. I think that makes all the sense in the world. But Mike Tomlin tends to be consistent. And he said at the beginning, Russ is the starter. And so he's now sticking with Russ as the starter. But when's he going to change? Let's look at the schedule and we can predict it. I mean, they're not supposed to be very good. So if they go to Atlanta and get outscored by 17 points, are we going to be talking about this the Monday after Week 1? Maybe. Chargers, I think they'll be good.
Schedule's not that hard at the top, though.
Right, but if we think they're going to be bad and they struggle against the easy part of the schedule, there will be a ton of pressure to make a change, and then Justin would come in maybe against the Jets in Week 7, one of the best defenses in the NFL.
Sure.
Then he struggles, and we're going to just be ping-ponging back and forth between these bad options.
Well, I don't think they ping-pong. I think it's Russell until it's not, and then you have to turn the reins over to Justin. But here's the crazy thing about that schedule we just showed you. The first 4 games are winnable because they still have a very good defense.
3 of the 4 on the road.
And if you look at the offenses they're going against, it's not like, oh, my God, how am I stopping that offense? It's not the San Francisco offense, right? So to me, the question is, what happens when the schedule starts getting tougher? What happens when, man, we need our quarterback to make a play to win a game? Because they can go 4-0 with average quarterback play. The problem for Pittsburgh, again, and you can put the schedule back up one more time, guys, is week 11 on.
Yes.
I can make a very salient argument right now that it doesn't matter which one of those guys is the quarterback. They lose their last 8 games.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? Hey, Justin, we're going to, on the bye week, we're going to go ahead and give you the starting quarterback position for the bye week.
And you beat Washington, so you're feeling pretty good.
Right.
Yeah. And now what?
Good luck, Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Kansas City, Cincinnati. I mean, find me a win in there. Anywhere.
Which is why, and I don't think it's going to happen, they have to go like 6-2 out of the gate. And I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think their offense is going to be very good. But I do think they made the right choice that there's only one answer for starting quarterback. It's Russell Wilson.
By the way, this is, I mean, could we all agree that this is the first losing season of Mike Tomlin's tenure?
If he figures out a way to have a winning season with this quarterback situation and that schedule, he will be the favorite for Coach of the Year.
Except for this. Better quarterback situation than last year, and he won 9 games. And the Cleveland Browns, who knows what the Cleveland Browns are with Deshaun Watson.
They did keep 4 quarterbacks.
They got 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
Should be the best defense, though, or one of the best defenses. Like Cleveland somehow won 11 games last year. And now that Joe Burrow's back
and they did start 5 quarterbacks last year.
Yeah, right. So, but an incredible defense, maybe the best in the NFL. Cincinnati, they're all in for this year because who knows how long all the players are going to be together and Burrow's healthy. And you've got the MVP of the league and one of the best organizations in the NFL in the Baltimore Ravens. Like, there's a reason the Steelers are supposed to be the worst team clearly in the AFC North. Those other 3 teams are really good.
Now they do have a good defense, though. But
they do have a good
it's like
defense.
The old thing, can the Pittsburgh offense give you 17 points a game?
Right.
Yeah, can you win 17-13 every week in this offensive NFL? It's really tough to do.
No, the answer to that is absolutely not. You can't do that.
Exactly.
Hey, by the way, we're going to move on from one crown jewel franchise to another. CeeDee Lamb practiced Tuesday after signing his new deal in Dallas and then spoke about Dak Prescott's content. He spoke about the contract, Dak's situation, and then Jerry also spoke about that situation. Hey, we don't need to get this done before the season, he said. As a matter of fact, it's probably not realistic to think before the season it's going to get done. So anyhow, Craig, I ask you, what do you make of that? What do you make of his comments about this contract getting done?
Well, why isn't it important to get your franchise quarterback signed up to a long-term deal? Because every day that you don't sign him is another day that Dak Prescott is one step closer to the exit. As Danny has said many times correctly, he's in a very unique position. He's already made a boatload of money, almost $200 million, right? He's regarded as a top 10 quarterback. He just had the best year of his NFL career last year. And oh, by the way, you can't trade him without his permission, and you can't franchise him. So there does come a point as a businessman, as a person, where Dak's going to say, there's so many other teams that have everything in place other than quarterback where maybe I'm the answer. And they are going to pay me a lot of money to be the answer. So when Jerry Jones talks like that, to me, he's unnecessarily playing with fire.
Dak has all of the power here, and we don't know what Dak wants, but actions speak louder than words. My guess is Jerry Jones has offered him a big contract. He hasn't signed it. And we say, well, in football you can get hurt, and there's risk. Okay, I guess, but there aren't that many good quarterbacks, and we know that Dak is a good quarterback. He was the second place finisher for MVP last year. What did Kirk Cousins get?
100 guaranteed.
100 guaranteed, 45 per. He's 4 years older than Dak Prescott? And he was coming off a ruptured Achilles. So that means that if Dak Prescott ruptured his Achilles this season, he still would get a massive contract offer. So there is absolutely no risk for Dak Prescott to get paid this offseason.
Again, I think this is one of the things you look at in regards to the Dallas Cowboys franchise and how they run their franchise.
Yeah.
That's direct at Jerry Jones, okay? So continuity as an offensive player is incredibly important.
Sure.
Right? I want continuity. I want my guys up front to be there. I want my receivers to be there. I want to be in the same offense. I want to have the same coordinator. I want to have that ability to talk to a guy. Remember what we did 3 years ago in this situation, right?
Continuity.
You want to have that continuity. Like, where's the continuity in Dallas, especially when you've got a lame duck coach? If you like Mike McCarthy and you know Mike McCarthy doesn't have a contract and he's a lame duck, at some point, if you're Dak Prescott, you're going, well, what's out there? Like, where could I go and what's a better situation? If I'm not going to have continuity in the first place, why not go test the free agent market?
Well, the continuity is that Jerry Jones thinks he's the biggest star, right? It's not Dak, it's not Micah, it's not CeeDee Lamb. I'm the big attraction. I think he believes that he's the face of the Dallas Cowboys, not the quarterback like it is for most teams. And then the other thing that gets me, and this is where Jerry just puts himself in harm's way. You know, there's a secondary part of that quote that we could put up for you, where he comes out and pretty much tells the world and Dak Prescott that this is going to be the worst team, talent-wise, he's ever had around him. And he goes on to say he's going to have to do it in the future as well with less of a supporting cast. So you're Dak Prescott. Look, Jerry Jones has been very good to you up until now financially. Gave you the big contract off the leg injury. He was very good. You made $200 million, ballpark, right?
Yeah.
And now he's telling you, as you're entering the backside of your prime as an NFL quarterback, that we're going to expect you to do more with less. If I'm Dak Prescott, why would I ever sign up for that when I know by default there's going to be another opportunity when I can do more with more?
You know what I don't want to hear from my organization? I don't want to hear my organization cry salary cap poverty.
Right.
When you have the ability as an organization to manipulate it. It's fungible. You don't have to live in that world. And so for me, you're indicting yourself. Hey, by the way, man, I've been so awesome for so long. I'm exhausted from being so awesome, right? I'm exhausted from all this GMing I've been doing. Hey, you're going to have to lift the entire franchise on your back because I'm not going to give you the talent you've had in the past.
Well, and there is some truth, to be fair to Jerry Jones for a second, there's some truth in if we have a really expensive quarterback, and he says he wants to pay Dak, and they have a really expensive receiver, they just paid CeeDee Lamb, and they're about to have probably next year a really expensive edge rusher, assuming they pay Micah Parsons, that is going to take up a huge percentage of the cap, so you need to have cheap labor. You need to have draft picks that are performing at a really high level. And so Dak Prescott's won 12 games 3 years in a row, but he hasn't had the playoff success. So he's going to have a choice. Do I want to go back to Dallas with these core guys that are expensive like me and we've been winning, or do I want to go somewhere else? And it will be Dak's choice.
Yeah, but to me, that's the cop-out that Jerry Jones is trying to sell to Cowboy fans, that we can't pay everybody, right?
But he's going to pay those three. I firmly believe that.
And maybe he will, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, Dak's not a pauper. He's making, what's he making, $30 whatever million this year.
He's coming off a 4-year, $160 million
so
deal.
let's not cry for Dak Prescott financially, but the problem with that is from a fan standpoint, every team, believe it or not, plays under the same cap rules. All right?
Yeah.
So if San Francisco next year, and we know they're gonna, give Brock Purdy the big money, the wide receivers, Fred Warner, and other guys the big money, Christian McCaffrey, I'm going to look at that and go, they did it. If Philadelphia can give or have already done it, quarterback got paid, running back got paid, both wide receivers got paid, I'm going to look at them and go, why the hell are we not doing it? So you can't cry, as Mark just said, well, cap restrictions and I can't fit everybody in there. It's why you need to hire a creative CPA, a cap guy, a financial guy to walk you through how every other team is able to keep 5 or 6 high-paid guys.
I'm sure they have it. But the issue is, do you want to spend the money? And, it comes down to this. Do you want to sign all those guys? Do you want to be creative? Hey, listen, Patrick Mahomes signed that $500 million deal, and people were like, oh, what are they going to do now? They're just going to keep winning Super Bowls, right? He's that good, and they just keep renegotiating those things,
but fans
pushing the money in the future.
Mark. It's because the Dallas Cowboys are also the most valuable franchise in the sport.
Absolutely.
They can write the check.
Well, but there's a cap floor, there's a cap max. The Bills and the Jaguars can spend the same amount of money that the Cowboys can on the roster. To be clear, they've messed this up because they've delayed signing these guys. Part of the reason these other teams are able to do it, you sign a guy early, you have cost certainty, it immediately becomes a bargain, which is, again, why Dak Prescott has all the leverage here.
Now, what happens, though, is what's happening in San Francisco. When you sign the guy early, and then he goes, wait a minute, I'm not the highest paid left tackle.
Exactly. Double-edged sword.
That is kind of the conundrum, right?
That does happen. But, look, I'm just so glad that I woke up this morning and I wasn't a Cowboy fan because when your owner comes out and goes, look, we want Dak to be back. We think Dak will be back for 2025.
But we're going to be worse.
But we're going to be worse.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Sweet.
at some point, you might want to become a Texas fan. I'm just putting that out there.
Well,
for now.
listen, man. You know what? They still are. They still are one of the crown jewels. I get all that, but come on, man. It's Cowboys. At some point, you got to win a championship, right?
Been a long time.
Hey, listen. For everybody involved in the show, for Craig, for Danny, I am Mark. Thank you so much, and we'll be back with you guys tomorrow. Yeah.